So hello everyone, welcome to YourPedia Education. Today I'm going to make a very good interaction with Mr. Swapnil. So Swapnil recently got fully funded PhD positions in USA and different universities. So we will take his experience and we are trying to learn from his experience about this whole PhD. So Swapnil, welcome to YourPedia Education first of all.
Thank you so much, sir.
It's actually very great to have here on this platform. So many viewers want to know like how you get this fully funded PhD position. So I'll start from very beginning. I'll ask you some very basic question which every student have in their mind. So please try to explain this question in very much detail so that it will be helpful for student. So we'll start with your introduction. So can you briefly tell about yourself, your bachelor's, your master's, so all these things I want to know.
Okay. So first of all, thank you so much for providing me this opportunity to get interact with the students who wanted to go for the higher education or PhD in abroad. So I will try to give the best knowledge I can. So as you told me to give my brief introduction. So to start with, as you already told viewers that my name is Swapnil and I belong to a remote small village of Pune district. So I have completed my initial education from one of the best schooling system of India, that is Jawahar Navodaya Vidyalaya. I got selected there as one of the 40 students for free education, as I had caliber to score the highest rank in the district level exam. So after completing my initial education, I got admitted into Savitribai Phule Pune University for my bachelor's degree. So I completed my bachelor's degree in mechanical engineering there. So from the from the beginning, I wanted to go into IITs, but due to lack of awareness, I was not able to get into IITs for my bachelor's. But when I was in my bachelor's, so I got to know that we can still make into the IITs for the MTech degrees. So as soon as I got to know this thing, I started preparing for the GATE exam, that is Graduate Aptitude Test in Engineering. I prepared by my own, and I was able to get into one of the prestigious technical institute of India, that is IIT Kanpur. So I got selected there in the Department of Material Science and Engineering. So when I was in the third semester and when I was working on my MTP, that is MTech project, or you can say the thesis. So at that time, I realized my interest in the PhD, or you can say research. So at that point of time, I decided that I will go for the research, or I will go for the PhD. So that was the reason I was not into the placement. Also, I didn't sit for any kind of placements. And right from the beginning, when I decided to go for the PhD, I started focusing on my research, because I knew that for getting into the PhD in the foreign universities, we should have very strong research background. So I dedicated my all the time to the research. And then after completing my masters, then I applied to different university, and I got fully funded PhD position from one of the best I can say the University of Washington State, that is Washington State University.
Yeah, it's very good university. So congratulations for that. But I have just a quick question. Can you tell me what is your BTech percentage, MTech percentage? Can you briefly tell me that?
So I completed my BTech, or you can say BE, from a private college of Savitribai Phule Pune University. So I got a very decent percentage in my BTech. My BTech percentage was 72%, which is not so good, but I secured a first rank in the final year of my bachelor's. And then when I got into IIT Kanpur, there also as I was new to this program or course, that is material science, because I shifted from mechanical to materials. Initially, I got difficulty to cope up with the coursework. So in the first semester, I scored relatively less CGPA, But in the second semester, when I started coping with the courses, I secured a good CGPA, and overall my CGPA was 8.5.
Okay, so that's very good. So actually, when you are trying to apply for PhD, you need some this test like IELTS, TOEFL, or GRE. So can you tell me like how many tests you gave for US admissions?
Okay, so basically, due to the pandemic, many of the university have waived off this GRE, but most universities, I will say more than 95 universities still required the IELTS or TOEFL exam, that is English language proficiency test or certification, we can say, because as we are going in the country where the English is the official language and local language also, having knowledge of English is really important, and for that we have to give this IELTS or TOEFL exam where we can prove our proficiency in English. And if I talk about the GRE exam, I have given the GRE exam, though it was not mandatory for all the universities. But still, I gave the GATE exam to increase my chances of getting selected into the PhD program. Because these things also have weightage in the selection program. So that is why I gave the GRE also.
So GRE, is it required in every university in US, or some of the universities are there where GRE is not required?
Okay, so there are three categories, I would say. So the first category, in the first category, that university comes in which the GRE is mandatory. So GRE is required in that university. So if you want to apply to this university, you will have to have the GRE score in your hand. The second type of universities are those universities where GRE score is at all not required. They clearly mention in their website that GRE score will be not considered in the evaluation of your application. So in this university, submitting GRE score is of no use. And third category are the universities in which they, it is not required to have a GRE score, but it is recommended. So they clearly mention that, even if you don't have GRE score, it is fine, but GRE score is recommended. So these are the three type of universities.
Okay, that's good. So when actually you are applying for this thing, when you decided and how much time this will take, this procedure will take, and what are the deadlines to apply in US?
Okay, so as I already told in my introduction, also in the third semester of my master's, I decided to go for the PhD. So I knew that getting into the PhD is a really difficult task if we don't have a good research background. So that is why I started focusing on the research, and that is why I didn't appear for the IELTS and GRE in that year, because it was not possible due to pandemic also. So I completely devoted my time to my research, and then after completing my master's, I simultaneously started preparing for the manuscript for my research also, and simultaneously I also looked for the professor of my research interest.
Okay, so one thing I heard from many people, especially from MS people, so what they do, like they have this GRE score, they have this IELTS score. Let us say they think like they have documents also, SOP and all. So before deadlines, actually they apply to different university. Is it same for PhD, or you follow some another approach?
Actually, if someone approaches the professor, then there is no such kind of application deadline or something. In every semester, you can get into the university or the PhD program if you have made a good connection with some kind of professor. So if you approach the professor who is working in your area of interest, and you show your interest to work with him, then he might he might get admit you in the university in any kind of semester. So it is not required to get into fall semester only.
So you are saying like for masters there are particular deadlines, but for PhD try to approach professors, and if they like your profile, they can admit you in any of the semester.
Yes.
So that's really helpful. Yeah. And so how you write email, how you find this professor on university website?
Okay, so at first I want to clear this doubt that student might get into their mind that if we can go by the normal procedure, why should we approach the professor? So there
Mhm.
are certain benefits to approach the professor. So I will list them one by one. First of all, if you approach the professor, you are likely to work in your area of interest, because if you go by the normal procedure, it may be possible that you can get into some university, but you will not be able to get the professor which is working in your area of interest. So it is possible that you might get into the professor who is not working in your area of interest. So if you approach the professor and a professor gets you to work with him, you are likely to work in your area of interest. Secondly, the chances of getting admission offers is increases. So
Mhm.
these professors have some influence on admission committee also in some of the university. So if
Okay.
they want you to work with him, then your chances of getting admission offer are increased. So this is the second benefit. Third benefit is if you approach some professor, that professor might waive off your GRE and IELTS score requirements also. Okay, so
Okay.
in some universities, professor have this flexibility or have this power to even waive off your GRE and IELTS score requirements also. Then again
Okay.
is application fee can be waived off. So if you request the professor that I don't have that much of money to apply, pay
Mhm.
the application fees, in that case application fee might be waived off. And also the funding will be almost guaranteed, as professor is committing with you. He or she will make sure of your funding also. Then in the visa application procedure, your chances of getting accepted will be higher, because if you mention in your interview that you are in being contact with this professor, and due to
Okay.
that you got into this university, your chances of getting visa is high.
That's actually very good insights you provided us. And I just want to know, I'm curious, like how much you actually spend on this PhD whole application procedure? How is the expenditure?
Okay, so this is a really time-taking process. It requires a little bit of hard work, but at the end, it may pay off. So if I talk specifically about the duration, it can take up to 6 to 8 months, depending upon how often you are getting the positive replies from the professor, and that will be also depending upon your research background and the
Okay.
number of professor you are approaching.
Okay. So approximately how much you basically, what is your expenditure on this whole procedure? How much
Uh,
money you spent actually?
Okay, so as I already told in the previous question that your application fee might be waived off. So basically, I applied to 9 to 10 university, and out of that, in 7 universities, my application fees was waived off. Okay, so
Oh, really
I
nice. Yeah.
yeah, so I need to only pay for this IELTS exam, GRE exam, and the service fee and the visa fee. So that's it. My expenditure was not that great, and as a middle class guy, I was having in the mind that I will have to, reduce this cost as much as I can. So I follow this procedure.
That's very good. So IELTS is 12,000, then this GR is 12,000, and you have to pay service fees that is around 25,000,
Yeah.
and then your visa fees is again 14,000. So not more than 50, 60,000. That's very
Yes.
good actually.
Yes.
Yeah. So I am curious, like when you're saying like professor is giving you funding, so do you write any other SOP or any other essay for this or any research proposal for getting this funding, or professor by himself he gave you funding and all?
Okay, so when I was talking to professor from the Washington State University, who is going to be my supervisor, I also mentioned that I am a middle class guy and I will not able to show the funds while appearing for the visa interview. So I have to make sure that I will be having funding during my PhD. So he told me that he told me to give him some time to arrange the funding. So I didn't have to apply any kind of research proposal or anything else. He himself arranged some funding and provided to me.
That's very nice. So you can be that much open with professor in the very first
Yes,
minute, right?
yes,
Okay.
definitely.
So that is the beauty of doing PhD from abroad, I think. Okay, so my next question is like people generally think students who are from IITs, NITs, they can only get PhD position in the abroad. I know like you are also an IITian, but what do you think like whether people with from private universities but with good research experience can they get PhDs in USA or any other country?
Yes, sure. For sure, I will say definitely they can get this opportunity. We can't deny this fact that IITians have the upper hand in some context, because foreign professors only know one thing about Indian education, that is IIT. So
Yeah.
IIT students have this upper hand, but it is not at all mandatory that you should be an IITian to get an PhD offer. At the
Mhm.
end, what professor looks in your profile is that your research interest, whatever you have done in your BTech or whatever you have done in your master in terms of research. So if he or she likes your research background and likes your intent to get into PhD, then I think so. There is nothing that can stop you from getting PhD offer from the foreign university, any kind of foreign university. So even if you don't have an IIT degree, it's not at all a problem. You only have to work hard to get into a PhD.
Okay, so I have another question for you. If I give you this thing like GRE score, TOEFL score, or IELTS score, then I'll say SOP, then I'll say your CV, job experience, research experience. Which is the most important factor for PhD? What do you think? Is it GRE score?
No, no, not at
GRE
all.
score. Okay.
So, in my view, there is not a specific supporting material which have the most into PhD program. Okay, so there is not a single supporting material on which the admission committee gives more weightage. So, the combined effect of all will ensure your admission into the PhD program. So, you will have to have a good GRE score or good IELTS score. And also your supporting materials like SOP, LOR, and CV also should be good. So, all this factor will ensure your admission. A PhD admission. But if I, have to give a upper hand to one of the supporting materials, I will say it would be uh, SOP and CV most, because most
Okay.
of the time what happens that you do some mistakes, and that is why it may be possible that your CGPA is not good. Okay, so you
Mhm.
can compensate these things in your CV or SOP. Okay, you can also tell that what are your intention to get into PhD and why you want this university and with which professor you want to work, what are your future intent. So if even if you can mention this thing that why you got lesser CGPA, okay, so this can be compensated into SOP also. So for me, SOP is the most important thing, and I think admission committee would have been spending more time on SOP rather than other documents.
Okay, that's very good. And another question is like some students have 1 year or 2 year gap between bachelor's and master's, then masters, and when this actually going to start their PhD, they have some sort of gap. If you're not doing anything, you're mentioning it as a gap, then will it affect your PhD position or it is fine? 1 year gap is fine.
A 1 year gap is fine. Even you can justify your gap. I am also having a 1 year gap after my bachelor's because I was preparing for the gate, so I can mention this thing. Even after completing my masters, I am having 1 year of gap because I was involved in preparing manuscript for my research, and I was also focusing on my patent, and at the same time I was also collecting the supporting documents, and I was busy in approaching the professor. So it is okay. Even you can mention it to the visa officer that why you are having the 1 year of gap, and they won't mind you 1 year or
Okay.
1.5 year of gap.
Yes. Okay. And some students have question like they think if you have publication only, then they will get PhD position. What do you think? Like you must have publication, or if you don't have, then also you will get PhD positions.
Okay, having a research paper is good thing, but even if you don't have the research papers, it is fine, because most of the professor knows this thing that master student gets very much a little time to focus on their MTP, that is MTech project. They also have to go for the coursework also. So they are known with this fact that master student usually get lesser time to work on their research, and that is why it may be possible that they are not able to generate that much of data which can be converted into a research paper. Or it may be possible that the whole year student may be working on the research, and after completing the masters the student may be writing his manuscript for the research papers. So it is not a problem if you don't have the research papers, unless and until you mention this thing that what amount of work you have done in your MTP, that is thesis.
Okay. So Swapnil, that's pretty much I want to ask you. I would say like all the very best for your visa interview, and I may have one another session with you when you actually reach into US, and I just want to know your experience, how you're feeling over there. Washington State is really a good university. I would say all the very best for your future, and we will meet again. If any student needs help, I will connect him with you so you can basically provide
Sure,
guidance.
sure. I will be more than happy to guide the students who are, dreaming of getting into a PhD in abroad. So if you want any kind of help, you can call me again, and I will be here to, guide the students.
Sure. Thank you very much for being on YourPedia platform, Swapnil. All the very best. Thank you.